Greetings, vinyl community. I am Patrick, the vinyl archivist. It is March 1st, 2021. And today's video is going to be my favorite pressings of the Led Zeppelin catalog. So let me start this off right now by saying this is just my opinion. If you have a pressing that you love that differs from mine, that's perfectly fine. There is no definitive best pressing of anything. This is just my personal opinion of what I think sounds best to my ears on my system. And I've had the benefit over the years of being able to record lots of different pressings of the Led Zeppelin catalog. So I have had a lot of experience with different pressings, and I'll discuss some of the ones I've had over the years, and maybe say, you know, what alternatives there might be for some of the more expensive ones as we get along. As I said, if you have a favorite pressing and I don't list it, or I say that it's not one of my favorites, it's not a big deal. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Please don't get upset. It's just my opinion. So we're going to start right now. First album, Led Zeppelin I, classic, great record. This is the U.S. first pressing, not early pressing because it's got the gold record stamp here, but it is on the original catalog number of SD 8216. This record was mastered by George Piros. This is on the 1841 Broadway label, which is the first label. Don't get hung up on the labels when it comes to these. If you find one of these from the Rockefeller label, grab it. This is also pressed at the Monarch pressing plant, which I live on the West Coast, so I'm fortunate to be able to get a lot of those. The way you can tell this pressing, which was cut by George Piros, is that you need to look for an @ symbol and a T with a / and then GP in the dead wax on both sides. Make sure it's on both sides. Don't get hung up on, like I said, on the record labels or matrix numbers. If it's cut by George Piros, it's going to sound great. I have had the classic reissue. I have had the UK plums. So there is a video on my channel. I did an octagon where I did a shootout between the UK plum and the classic reissue. And by far, this one won hands down by everybody. You can probably get this for $20 to $30 at your local record store if you look. And this is not going to break the bank. So this is my favorite pressing of Led Zeppelin I. Good start. Here we go. Led Zeppelin II. Doesn't really need much of an introduction. This one is going to be the most expensive record out of the bunch. My copy is the vaunted Robert Ludwig hot mix pressing. Although it's not a hot mix, it's just a hot mastering. This one is a Pittman press. I have had a Monarch press. I have had an RI press. You can tell this by the RL in the dead wax. This is a phenomenal sounding record. I have compared it to the classic. I've compared it to the MoFi. I've compared it to the UK plum. Some people do like the UK plum. It's not bad. I just don't prefer it to the Robert Ludwig. The Robert Ludwig, to me, is hands down the best. George Piros also cut this album. Again, you look for the @ symbol T and then GP in the dead wax. That sounds really good, and that might be a more affordable alternative for you than the Robert Ludwig. This was going to cost you a pretty penny unless someone doesn't know what they have. But I always look, every time I see Led Zeppelin II, I always look for RL just in case, and you never know, you could get lucky. I don't have Led Zeppelin III, the pressing that I usually show, and it is my favorite. This one's also very easy for me. It is the original first pressing UK plum with the matrix number of A5 and then B5. Make sure it's A5 and B5. It's got the do what thou wilt and mote it, whatever that dead wax is. But yes, the UK plum is probably going to set you back a nice clean pressing, probably $100 plus shipping from the UK, unless you can find one here. An alternative, the classic is not bad. It's a little dark sounding to me. I don't know what the new reissues sound like. You can give that a shot. But yeah, for Led Zeppelin III, the original UK Plum A5 B5. Okay, now an album that I still see everywhere, sold millions of copies. Led Zeppelin IV. There are lots of variations on this. This one is again a Monarch pressing. This is on the Rockefeller label, but the originals came out on the Broadway label. This has Pecco and Pecco Duck in the dead wax, and also George Piros's mark on the dead wax, which is always interesting to me because it looks like they sent the plates over from the UK, and then George Piros etched on the plates. I don't really know how that actually works, but I've had original UK plums that have Pecco and Pecco Duck on them, and they sound very similar. And this is my favorite pressing, the Monarch pressing of this. Don't get hung up on the labels, the Broadway or Rockefeller. If it says Pecco, Pecco Duck, some of them say Porky. A little bit of a difference, but not much. You can probably get this for $20. Now I have done UK plums. I have done again the classic reissue, and I've had Japanese pressings here as well. But hands down, the US or the UK plum, whichever you can get, it has Pecco, Pecco Duck, or Porky, Pecco Duck. Get that, and you'll be set. Okay, now here's the only record that I have two favorite pressings, and the reason why I have two favorite pressings is because two of my favorite mastering engineers cut this. One of them was George Peckham, who is Porky or Pecco, and the other one is Robert Ludwig. So this is the U.S. first pressing in the gatefold. This comes on the Broadway label first as well. Again, don't get hung up on labels. You can get a Sterling RL of the Rockefeller label. It'll sound just as good. This one is on the Monarch, and you can tell this one because these ones have Sterling RL in the dead wax, and the Monarch has the MR symbol on it. But it's a great sounding record. Again, you can probably find this for $20 or less in good shape at your record store, and if you're good to go right there. I mean, this is really all you need. I've had the classic, and the classic does not compare to this. The second pressing that I have was done by George Porky Peckham. This is a UK first pressing. It has A1, B1 in the dead wax, and it says Porky and then Pecco on the dead wax. Do not get the one that says For Mary, because that one sounds crappy. But this one is the true first UK pressing, A1, B1. The subsequent pressings were cut by Robert Ludwig, and they'll be B2, B3, A2, B3. But the very first one is A1, B1. These are hard to find. Hard to find. But if you're in the UK and you come across it, you might like this a little bit better. I think maybe one day I'll do needle drops and do a comparison of the two, and people can decide for themselves. There's definitely a difference. But for me, it's a tie because I like both of them. Next, we have Physical Graffiti. This one is not a great sounding record. I've had the UK, I've had the classic, I've had Japanese pressings. Any good US pressing that's clean will do you. I don't care if it's Monarch, I don't care if it says FT, I don't care what it says in the dead wax. Any good clean pressing, which are hard to find because the records were stored in these things. They're cardboard lines, so they usually have lots of frickin' hairlines on them. Hate that shit. But the UK is a little bit darker sounding than the US to my ears, and the classic is not even comparable. So if you're looking, just get a nice clean US pressing. Even a later pressing they all sound the same to me. Very, very close, similar mastering. So generic US pressing, maybe $20-$25 again. Not going to break the bank. Song remains the same. I only have the Rhino box set. I'm not a big live album guy, but I have this. This sounds good to me, as good as it's going to sound. So, I mean, you can get the generic 2-album set too. Probably sounds just fine. So don't spend a ton of money on this if you don't, if you're not really into it like I am. Like I'm not into this. So that's really all I have to say about Song Remains the Same. I'm not an aficionado. And last but not least is In Through the Outdoor. So In Through the Outdoor, I do believe all of the plates were cut at the Strawberry Mastering Plant in the UK, and then the plates were sent out, because in the US, they're all strawberry. In the UK, it's all strawberry. And this is a Japanese pressing, and it's also strawberry. So what's nice about this is you get the UK mastering on the really, really quiet Japanese vinyl. So these can be had. I think I got this for 30 bucks, $45 shipped. Dead quiet, sounds awesome. If you don't want to go that route, you can probably get a Monarch strawberry pressing for maybe 10 bucks. But the Japanese is dead quiet, sounds so good. And it is my preferred, but I could live with the Monarch easily. Okay, so that is my list of... Oh, sorry, I forgot one. I almost forgot. I forgot Presents. I don't have my favorite pressing of Presents because I stupidly sold it after I recorded it the last time, and it's so hard to find. One thing about Presents is that every pressing I've ever heard, except for the one I'm going to mention, has distortion pressed into it on Royal Orleans. The only pressing I've ever heard that doesn't is the specialty pressing done by George Piros. Again, it's a later issue. It's cut by specialty, and it has the @ symbol T and then GP on both sides for George Piros. If you ever see that, grab it and hold on to it for dear life. I'm still looking for another copy. If anyone has one that wants to lend it to me so I can record it one more time, I would be eternally grateful. But yes, that one does not have distortion on Royal Orleans. So now I am going to conclude this video. I don't mean to offend anybody. Don't mean to say, the album that you spend a lot of money on that I don't like. It doesn't matter what I like. It matters what you like. And we're all here just to have some fun. I'm just trying to pass along some information that I've learned along the way. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me in the comments. You can email me, whatever. And I'm happy to be of assistance if I can. Hope everyone's doing well. I have some more videos to do, so hope I can get those done. Take care, everybody, and goodbye.